Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Supreme Court yesterday stayed Rahul Gandhi's conviction in the 2019 Modi surname case. Now, what did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said that the trial court did not give enough reasons to justify the 2 years sentence to Rahul Gandhi. And the court also said, and which was a very significant point, that it is not only about the right of Rahul Gandhi to continue as in public life, but also about the rights of the people of Wayanad. This was an important observation. And now the Supreme Court order will force Lok Sabha Secretariat to restore his Lok Sabha membership. Now, how does one see this order? Is it going to be some kind of a turning point in Indian politics? That's what we'll discuss with two veterans here. Sanjay, political commentator and former Congress spokesperson. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining. And Vinod, Agnihotri, senior journalist, editor, and author as well. Thank you so much, Vinodji, for joining on the Federal. And let me begin with Sanjay Jha. Sanjay, how would you really see the Supreme Court order on Rahul Gandhi? Do you feel that it's going to be a turning point just before 2024 elections?
Neelu, first, a very good evening to both you and Vinodji, and it's great to be with you on the show again. My short answer is that in politics, every event, it depends upon how you handle it, can be a turning point. The one about Rahul Gandhi is extremely significant. It is critical because we all know that after he made that speech, a very fiery speech, questioning Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, in Parliament, on the explosive subject of Gautam Adani and crony capitalism, a series of very disconnected events suddenly got momentum in Gujarat, and the entire Modi surname issue caught national imagination. It helped the BJP actually because it diverted attention, right? Because if somebody has filed a case against Rahul Gandhi, who's then held guilty of criminal defamation, he's stripped of his parliamentary status, he's asked to vacate his home. All of these were significant diversions from what should have been the issues of Manipur or the Karnataka election or Adani. And I think the verdict by the Supreme Court yesterday, it's not conclusive, but it's at the same time a pretty landmark, because I think there are serious questions being raised about the earlier verdicts given in Gujarat, which is something that we must talk about on your program. And I do think that the Congress party today has a tailwind. The tailwind is out of the Karnataka victory. I would say the Bharat Jodo Yatra, the entire coming together of the opposition parties on the Manipur issue, the formation of India as an inclusive alliance. I do believe that there is a significant momentum shift happening in Indian politics. And I think for Rahul Gandhi, the biggest, I would say, for me, the accolades or the applause is the fact that he conducted himself with exemplary conduct during this period. Everybody knew this was an act of political vendetta. It was pretty blatant that there was an attempt being made to harass Mr. Gandhi through the process of, putting him through the legal quagmire. But the bottom line is that during this entire period, unlike, I would say, any politician, Rahul Gandhi did not react personally to Narendra Modi or the BJP. Let's be honest here, this was not one disgruntled MLA from BJP. This was the entire apparatus of the BJP at work. And I do believe that Rahul never appeared petty. He did not strike back by making any outrageous or a comment where he looked, disgruntled or was appearing to play the victim card that Narendra Modi does at the slightest provocation. And I think to that extent, Rahul Gandhi's political brand, at the Bharat Jodo Yatra, at Karnataka, at his visit to Manipur, and I do believe that end of day, he looks like a formidable political force today, which is great news for the India alliance. And I think, it could be a turning point.
You're right that he does appear as a formidable force in today's politics. But Vinodji, if I may come to you, that it's almost more than 24 hours now since the Supreme Court order came, but there is no intimation from the Lok Sabha Secretariat like they disqualified him within 24 hours. That same speed, that same alacrity is not seen by the Lok Sabha Secretariat. Do we assume that it is because it's a Saturday or maybe a Sunday? So are we to assume that probably his Lok Sabha membership is going to be restored on Monday? Or do you still see some kind of politics being played out by BJP in the days to come?
I hope the Speaker will take cognizance of the Supreme Court verdict, and he will decide on the whether the membership of the Rahul Gandhi should be restored. But one thing I would like to say before that, I agree with Sanjay Jha that every event in the politics has its own impact. But some events are more crucial and more, they have the far everlasting impact. I will quote few events. In 1978, Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, was elected from Chikmagalur after a very decisive defeat in 1977. She personally lost the election from Raebareli, and then she fought a by-election from Chikmagalur, and she won with thumping votes. But Janata Party government in Lok Sabha, her membership was disqualified, and she became again, she was deprived from her membership. And that event finally led to Belchi and led to the victory of 1980 elections for the Congress.
So you find that kind of similarity with what has just happened?
Just number two, in 1986, there was a court order in Ayodhya to open the lock of the Babri Masjid, Ram Mandir. And that order, that court order, led to entire Ram Mandir movement nationwide, and finally we have seen that outcome, political outcome. Similarly, in 1974, Mrs. Gandhi was deprived and she was disqualified by the Allahabad High Court. And that event also have a much more impact. And finally, the movement, JP movement against Indira Gandhi, was based on that verdict. The entire opposition gathered, and finally, we are witness to what happened after that. Similarly, this verdict has its own impact on the Indian politics in the coming days. I will tell you how. Number one, this decision of the Supreme Court has boosted the morale of the Congress worker entire country. Nationwide, Congress workers are very overjoyed because Rahul Gandhi is the supreme leader of the Congress party, and he is the, now after Bharat Jodo Yatra, he has become the beloved leader of the Congress party among the Congress workers and supporters. Now he will go in the parliament as a victorious leader. Earlier, the worker was demoralized because they were saying that Rahul Gandhi is out of fray, he can't fight the election, he's no more MP now. So they were somehow their morale was very low. But this has boosted the morale. When the Congress, the morale of Congress worker is upbeat, that will impact the coming assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, and Telangana. Now the Congress party will fight with more strength and more aggressively in these elections. And if the results will come in the favor of Congress party, that will impact the formation of India Alliance also. By this verdict, India Alliance, in my views, this verdict has strengthened the India Alliance, because there are narrative. This will, now Rahul Gandhi is MP now and he can fight election. Then the Congress party will project him as a prime ministerial candidate, and then the other leaders of the India Alliance, they will feel very insecure, and finally there will be cracks in the India Alliance can disturb, and these are the narratives built by the BJP and their supporters. But my opinion is different. The this relief got by Rahul Gandhi, and now he will be MP and he will able to fight the election. that has nothing to do with leaders' projection in the India alliance, because Congress had already said twice that they are not interested in any projection of leader, or their main goal is to defeat the BJP and the Modi government.
Right.
They can do everything to strengthen the India alliance. And if Congress party got strength, Congress party got acceptability among the masses, that will also help the alliance partners in their respective states to get more acceptability and more acceptance among the masses, and that will help politically.
Right.
These are two things.
Absolutely.
My opinion is that, my view is that this decision of the Supreme Court will have a very far-reaching impact on the coming days and the politics of the coming days, and the you can see the election. I can't say the results, but the battle of 1924 Lok Sabha elections will be fought by the India alliance with the strength got that alliance from this verdict. So, in my views, it has a very positive impact on the Indian politics.
Right. You do say that, of course, it has invigorated the Congress cadres, it has invigorated the people within Congress, and it is going to strengthen the India alliance. But Sanjay, if I may ask you, of course, Rahul has emerged as a force, but what about the acceptability of Congress? Given the fact that BJP has tried and tested all kinds of methodologies, whether it is fake or whether it is real on the ground, it makes itself acceptable amongst the masses, whether it is through the freebies or whether it is through its social media machinery. Now, of course, Rahul's acceptability is a given that people will start accepting Rahul as a serious player in politics. He has emerged as a formidable force. But what about Congress? Will Congress have the same acceptability as Rahul Gandhi?
Neelu, first and foremost, I would agree with most of the points made by Vinodji. I agree with them. And I think, in terms of public perception, remember, politics is about the way people feel about you. We can all talk numbers, stats, and analysis, and, do all the historical dissertations. But the bottom line is people should feel you as people who are credible or those who are fighting for the right side. Now, look at the Rahul Gandhi disqualification issue. This is like a David versus Goliath contest. You had one Rahul Gandhi battered and bruised through a vilification campaign run by the BJP for the last 9 years. He takes on the government on a pretty blatant case of favoritism or corruption. And what does the government do? It unleashes its own political ecosystem to actually disqualify him from his very parliamentary seat. Now, Rahul Gandhi's victory today, I would call it as a victory even before, the entire trial court starts all over again on his defamation case. The truth is this, that the people of India are seeing a formidable, authoritarian, dictatorial government that has completely abused state power, which has rigged, I think, India's institutions against one man in a party that once governed India and has now only 50-odd seats. And I think in the mind of the people, and I can sense it here with many people I talk to, that they have begun to say, you know what, I like Rahul Gandhi for walking those 4,000 kilometers. I admire Rahul Gandhi for never speaking a foul language. I like Rahul Gandhi, admire him for not having reacted with any vehemence, despite the extremely brazen abuse of state power to try and intimidate him and then strip him of his legitimate seat in parliament. And I think, last but not the least, going to Manipur when India's prime minister seems to be MIA, missing in action. Right. He hasn't even found time to talk about it beyond 36 seconds. I think the story is changing. And I think what is happening, and I don't want to be a Nostradamus here, but the early symptoms of the public response in states going to the elections, I can vouch for a few, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. I think the Congress looks like it's a clear front runner. Rajasthan, there's a catch-up to be done. But if Pilot and Ashok Gehlot run a campaign without, getting into their own petty little feuds here and there, you have a story, anything can happen. Because the BJP itself is a divided house. In Telangana, it is a clear fight between the Congress and the BRS. I think the BJP is really fading out there pretty quickly. And in Mizoram, I would think that the BJP should not even have the audacity, or shall we say, a vulgar confidence to step in after what they have done to Manipur. Right. So I think the Congress is definitely going to be the story in the winter elections. Right. What does it mean for 24? Well, I do believe it really means that the India alliance stands a distinct chance to actually upset all calculations that people were making just 6 months ago and ensure that Mr. Modi's tenure, which I call as the lost and the darkest decade of India, comes to an end. But let's be honest here. We got to be pragmatic. Can't get emotional and swayed by, feelings of sentiment. The BJP is a mighty election machine. They will use every, I would say, hook or by crook, maybe more of the latter than the former. They will use every trick in the bag to try and break people. They will try and buy out people. Their Operation Lotus will continue. They will try and topple governments even now if they can. And they will definitely play up, the sectarian card going into the elections.
Sanjay, one more question, just to ask you in continuation with what you said, and then I'll come to Vinodji. That what does this Rahul's order by the Supreme Court mean for Narendra Modi? Has he, has he seen a loss of face, or he would still try and pretend that, nothing has happened, he's unaffected? But what does it mean politically for Modi, if I may ask you?
My personal sense is that Narendra Modi is cornered. His spokesperson, his ministers will come and say, well, this is a legal process, and the Supreme Court has said that Rahul Gandhi should watch what he says, but people should watch what Narendra Modi and Amit Shah say when they campaign. I do believe that for the BJP, actually, the Supreme Court comment is a very bad news. And I'll tell you why, Niru, before we go to Vinodji. Because the BJP's election campaign is full of rhetoric, ugly polarization, and we all know that the Prime Minister's troops to Kabristan, Shamshan, Diwali, and that kind of stuff. And किसी के कपड़े से मालूम हो जाता है कि कौन वहां पर दंगे कर रहा है. So I do believe that the BJP, if it now enters the winter elections and plays this, the Congress should really take them to task. Because now you have a template to do that, right? And I do believe that this narrows the scope of the BJP leaders. Obviously, they have a very friendly election commission, but bottom line, it's not going to be easy anymore. So I do believe Narendra Modi today looks cornered. And I think Rahul Gandhi comes across as a leader. And especially after his silence on Manipur, it's awkward to even call Mr. Narendra Modi a leader. He's a lead. I don't think he's conducted himself as the Prime Minister of India. He comes across as a leader of the BJP.
Right. Vinodji, given the precedent which we have seen, there have been disqualifications where the membership was not restored of the Lok Sabha MP. Now, people do worry that because the no confidence motion is to be discussed sometimes next week, around 8th of August. Now, what happens if the Lok Sabha Secretariat drags its feet, doesn't restore the membership? Are we going to see those kind of scenes where probably Rahul Gandhi, will carry the Supreme Court order inside the parliament premises, sit with the other leaders, protest over what has happened? Are we going to see that? Because BJP might still not want Rahul Gandhi to take part in the no confidence motion discussion.
Niluji, I think on both situations, Congress will be the gainer. Rahul Gandhi will be gainer. If Supreme Lok Sabha Speaker restored Rahul Gandhi's membership on the Monday, he will be able to attend the proceedings of the House and the no confidence motion, and he might be the, I think, leading speaker from the opposition benches. If membership is not restored, then Congress will say, and Congress should say, look, this is the conspiracy against the Rahul Gandhi, because when trial court judgment came, within 24 hours, membership was Rahul Gandhi was disqualified, and now the Supreme Court has stayed the conviction, and still membership is not restored. It means there is something, some conspiracy against the Rahul Gandhi. He should not speak in the parliament. That narrative will be built by the Congress party, and that will also loss for the BJP in the perception battle. But because then that allegation of the Congress party, what Sanjay ji has said, कि Rahul Gandhi, there is a conspiracy to keep Rahul Gandhi out of the parliament. He should not speak on various issues which are uncomfortable for the government, for the prime minister. So that allegation, that charge will be proved in the eyes of the public.
Right.
So now the BJP has to decide whether the membership should be restored by the speaker and let the Rahul Gandhi speak in
But
the House.
Vinodji, I'm just thinking about that scene that Rahul Gandhi walks inside Lok Sabha, Narendra Modi is sitting, maybe on the day of the on the no confidence motion. Do you feel that Narendra Modi will feel cornered, as what we were just discussing with Sanjay also? Do you think Modi will feel cornered, BJP will feel cornered that day, BJP parliamentarians, especially when Rahul Gandhi is inside Lok Sabha?
Niluji, when the judgment of the trial court came, I was the first, I think among the analysts, I said, Rahul Gandhi has the laddus in his both hands. Either he will be victorious or he will be martyr. Now he will enter in the parliament as a victorious. And Congress party and opposition benches will will welcome you, thumping tables. And finally, rightly you said that BJP members and the ruling members will be embarrassed, and there is a embarrassment for the ruling benches also. But regarding the Prime Minister, I would like to say, I think Prime Minister, I think because he will address House at the last of the confidence motion. Finally, conclusion, he will conclude that debate. और आई थिंक तब तक तो काफी पानी गुजर चुका होगा 2 दिन की डिबेट में, तो इसलिए प्राइम मिनिस्टर शायद अवॉइड करें पहला दिन राहुल गांधी का सामना करने से। वो बेहतर है वो बाद में ही आए, या हो सकता है भी जाए, आई कांट से, because
you made an important point that he might not be present. Prime Minister might not be present on the first day of the discussion.
First day, yeah. That could happen. That is a possibility. He may be present, he may not.
Okay.
But we can say that this could happen. But one thing I would like to say finally, this verdict of the Supreme Court, one side this verdict is in favor of the Congress party, but BJP is trying to selectively take that observation of the Supreme Court that the speech of Rahul Gandhi was not in the good taste.
Yes.
So they are highlighting that line. You see, Supreme Court has already said, but this is not the Supreme Court has also said in that order, we are not going on the merit of the case.
Right.
This has to be decided from the session court when the trial is begun on the merit of this. That is their observation. That observation was not only for the Rahul Gandhi. That observation in this case, in the name of Rahul Gandhi, that was for all the political leaders of the political parties and the public figures. When they speak in the public, they should have some responsibility.
Right.
That same is applicable for the Congress leaders, for the BJP leaders, for leaders of the other party, and even for us. We are in the when we are discussing these things in the public fora, in the media, we should also take the note of Supreme Court observation.
But you made an interesting point, Vinodji, and with that remark where you said that, Supreme Court has also said that the people who are in public life need to take care on what they speak, what they don't speak. But Sanjay, do you think that with this order, Supreme Court has done a kind of a balancing act? I'm not commenting on the merit of the order, but since you both are political commentators, so I think it does merit a question on that line as well. That do you think that the Supreme Court order has left a window for the opposition parties? Of course, Rahul is a winner in that order. but it also leaves a scope for the ruling party, that is the BJP, so that they can also go down politically to the people and say that, look, we also have a narrative to play before the people. Does this order do that?
Neelu, I'll tell you the way I look upon it. Number one, I agree with Vinodji completely. For the Congress, this is heads I win, tails you lose. So if they don't reinstate Rahul Gandhi immediately, the BJP will look churlish, like losers, like they're scared of Rahul, and it will damage Narendra Modi, in my opinion, terribly. So I think if the BJP continues to remain myopic, and they're capable of anything because they have so much of vengeance and vindictiveness in them, I won't put it past them to delay Rahul's reinstatement. If they do reinstate Rahul, I expect Rahul to make another fiery, explosive attack on Narendra Modi, because the Manipur issue is not just Adani, it's Adani on steroids. I mean, you have had people losing lives here, for heaven's sake.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are over 160 people dead, 60,000 people who are displaced, and women gang raped. I mean, what a horrendous shame for India. So I think Mr. Modi will really get, I think, an earful from not just Rahul Gandhi, but I think the entire opposition. But I think on the point of, the Supreme Court verdict, I mean, nobody would have expected Supreme Court to say that, if you have been critical of the issue of Modi and somebody took offense, even if it's criminally not, deserving of a 2-year punishment, etc. I don't think the Supreme Court would have said, it's hunky-dory. I mean, it's par for the course for the Supreme Court to say that all politicians or public figures should exercise restraint when they, go on election campaigns and so on. I reiterate my point, Neelu. This is bad news for the BJP, because it's a BJP. If you look at the history of campaigning, it's people like Narendra Modi, Amit Shah. Look at their leaders and the kind of statements they have made. In my forthcoming book, I'll be listing quite a few. A lot of it is actually anybody Googles BJP's hate speech, and you can see some of their biggest leaders are already part of it, right?
Absolutely.
So I think for the BJP, they should be worried, because now not just the Congress, but the entire opposition, the entire media, and every citizen of the country will now say, if Rahul Gandhi could get disqualified for making a essentially nebulous statement where he was talking of Lalit Modi and Nirav Modi and Narendra Modi on the Rafale issue, if that can lead to his disqualification, what does it mean when a leader says Kabristan Shamshan politics?
Absolutely.
What does it mean when a leader says कि उसके कपड़े से मालूम हो जाता है कि दंगे करने वाला कौन है? Then I think the BJP has very limited elbow room.
Absolutely.
And if the BJP cannot indulge in rhetoric, I would say it's advantage Congress, advantage India, and advantage people of India.
One quick comment from both of you before I wind up the show. Sanjay, you mentioned at the beginning of the program about yesterday's Supreme Court order and what it said on the cases which are coming from Gujarat, what kind of verdict they are giving on the trial court, especially, and the Gujarat High Court. What kind of a commentary is it really, and what does it reflect? A very short assessment from you, and then I'll go to Vinodji and then end the program. Yes, Sanjay, over to you.
Well,
first.
I can tell you that the Supreme Court has been speaking extremely explicitly on the verdicts being given by the lower courts, not just in Gujarat, but all over the country. But on Gujarat, I think there's a matter of serious concern. I think Rahul Gandhi's case has moved through the courts in Gujarat, and the Supreme Court puts a stay. I think it's a big question mark on the quality of judges and whatever they're interpreting, number one. If you look at the language of the Supreme Court, it's quite, I would say, upfront and a harsh indictment, number one. Number two, look at the Teesta settlement case as well. It's incredible. And I do feel that somewhere down the line, if the ordinary people of India begin to see that you only get justice if you have to go to the Supreme Court of India, and not everybody has the staying power or the resources or the access to kind of argue their cases of the Supreme Court, it tells you that in India, a lot of our judiciary here needs to really kind of do a lot of introspection.
Right.
And maybe the Supreme Court has to fall like a ton of bricks on the lower courts that have allowed defamation cases, sedition cases, FIRs to be lodged, action taken without doing due diligence.
Absolutely. Last word to you, Vinodji, on what Supreme Court really said on the orders given by, on the verdicts given by the trial court and the sessions court yesterday. Yes, Vinodji.
I think I agree with Sanjay ji. The high courts and trial courts of the not only Gujarat, even outside Gujarat,
right?
They should take note of the Supreme Court observation and Supreme Court comment in this verdict and act accordingly when they are dealing with the cases of the defamation cases. And you see, Neeruji, one thing I would like to, when this law was amended, the People's Representative Act, there was two categories of the crime offences. One is serious, heinous criminal cases where minimum sentence is 2 years and maximum 10 years, 15 years, whatever. That was the minimum sentence. They were the heinous crime. So the spirit of this law is to debar those persons who are convicted convicted in the charge of doing heinous crimes like murder, rape, dacoity, loot, and kidnapping. And these are the sermon crimes where the maximum punishment is only 2 years. So for sermon crimes, that is why it was said in the law, keep 2 years plus
right
sentence. But you see, in the Rahul Gandhi case, the sentence is maximum sentence has been given. In 1860, this CRPC and IPC was formed by the British government, and 164 years, last 164 years. This is the first case where the maximum punishment has been given on the defamation case. Number one. Number two, when Rahul Gandhi was convicted by the trial court and the sentence was given, BJP made a narrative. Even before that, when this case was gone to hearing in the trial court, in Surat trial court, there was a narrative built by BJP that Rahul Gandhi ने पिछड़ों का अपमान किया है, 13 करोड़ लोगों का अपमान किया है, पिछड़ों का अपमान किया है. But I am surprised why Congress has not countered this narrative. Because Modi's surname is not Pichhada. Modi's surname is a very general surname.
Right.
You see, Narendra Modi ji, he is from OBC. He is a Ghachi, of course. But Lalit Modi is a Marwadi. Nirav Modi is a Marwadi. Pilu Modi, Parsi. Rusi Modi, Parsi. Sorab Modi, Parsi. So, Modi, and you can see a lot of Modi names. So
Absolutely.
Modi name is not for Pichhada. But Congress, why the Congress? I am saying this analogy in different discussion. But
no, absolutely.
I haven't seen any Congress spokesperson who has
you're right.
taken this point.
You're right, absolutely. And in fact, in yesterday's order, for the first time, it came to light that Purnesh Modi doesn't have a surname which is Modi. That also came for the first time. But
I hope Sanjay ji will take note of this my comment. And he will take this narrative to
I'll do that. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, one has cognizance of it, but I do agree that the Congress should have been more vocal and articulate about it.
Right.
I totally agree with you.
No, absolutely. And since we are running short of time, but yes, Monday onwards, Parliament is going to be very interesting. If we see that Rahul Gandhi's Lok Sabha membership will be restored, what will the scene be like? Rahul walking inside Lok Sabha amidst table thumping and BJP parliamentarians. I don't know. I'm really waiting to see that how it unfolds inside Parliament. But thank you so much, Sanjay, Vinod, Agnihotri. Thank you so much. And I want to appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion. Subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.